What is up, YouTube? This is Nanashi back with another Banlist update video. I was not expecting another Banlist anywhere near this soon, given how incredibly vague they were with the dates. But here we are, and it goes into effect immediately. Some of these cards that they made changes to have been banned longer than Rita Repulsa was in her trash bin on the moon, and they are finally seeing the light of day again. Though whether or not they plan to conquer the Earth is up for debate. And you'll see what I mean when we take a closer look. Now, 3 cards have been banned and are no longer allowed to be played. First is Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon. This card was pretty much exclusively used for that obnoxious synchro loop with Hulk and Deskbot 001, so it makes perfect sense to hit it. But this once again means that Mecha Phantom Beast players just can't have nice things. Next is Prank Kids Meow Meow Moo. It was put to 1 already, but apparently a Link 1 combo starter is just too good for them right now, so hopefully this tells the deck to slow the fuck down. And last is Predaplant Vert Anaconda. I can't say I feel bad for it getting hit when 99% of its use was to get out Dragoon and sometimes DPE, so I feel nothing but positivity toward this. It's been a long time coming. 8 cards have been moved to limited status and are now only allowed at 1 per deck. First is Jet Synchron. Originally a 1-card combo starter for that very Auroradon combo, it's now safe to give it back to Synchron players so they can go back to doing 5% better than they were before. Congratulations. Next is Performapal Monkey Board. Now, I'm very much aware of that draw search combo that made this card ban-worthy in the first place, but after discussing it with my wife, it's really not as bad now as it was back then. So I suppose it's okay to let Draco Pals have their monkey business. Then comes Red Rose Dragon. I was so confused when I read about this because I literally never saw it at all, but apparently it has some strange combo capabilities with the Adventure Token engine to get to Borland and Barone, supposedly called the Kitchen Sink deck, or something like that, but whatever the case, this hopefully puts a stop to that nonsense. And then we get to Yata-garasu. For 18 years, this one singular spirit monster has been on the ban list. Why was it there? Because of a little combo that nuked the board, ripped the hands, and left only it. The harbinger of the yata-garasu lockdown, it would chirp its superiority at you every single turn by being summoned into existence, dealing 200 damage, stealing your ability to draw, and then returning to the safety of its owner's hand. You could never stop it once it began. It denied the existence of your ability to progress. So long as it existed, you did not. But thankfully the Auroradon and Chaos Imp Dragon basically made that combo null and void, so it's safe to let it come back. Next is Shooting Riser Dragon. I'm actually quite fond of this card. Its existence gave quite the giggle when you summon Penguin Brave on the opponent's turn, but I only ever played 1 even if other decks used it more, which I never knew. Then it's Crystron Halka Fibrax. I actually expected this card to get banned at one point to prevent its abuse in the Auroradon combo, so seeing it limited kinda threw me for a loop, especially after Auroradon got banned. I didn't know other players were playing it at more than 1, but then again, apparently they were doing the same with Shooting Riser. Next is Change of Heart. This card has been banned for almost as long as Yata, and for good reason. Generic monster stealers have always been a pain in the ass. Brain Control, Snatch Steal, Mind Control, Manhunt, all of them are incredibly annoying, but have some number of fairness factors to them. And this one is the most free of all of them. But I get the feeling it won't be legal for very long, or if it is, it just eventually becomes irrelevant like the rest. And last is Time Seal. For a very similar reason as Yata, this card has been banned for about 16 years. The ability to skip the draw phase is infuriating to face unless you have your board prepped and ready beforehand, and in many players' eyes, it's borderline cheating to prevent the opponent from drawing at all. It being at 1 means it shouldn't be abused or searched hard enough to really matter, but I'm still wary of its existence. 6 cards were semi-limited and are now only allowed at 2, and unsurprisingly, all of them were limited on the list before. First is Dynamite Knight, the True Draco Fighter. I have no love for True Draco. It is an annoying deck to face that is basically just new Monarchs, most builds of which use Monarch cards to do better as a whole. so seeing anything of theirs coming back makes me grind my teeth a little. Next is Cyber Angel Benton. I feel like this was a mistake, honestly. I'm all for giving pack power to the few Cyber Angel players there are out there, and I know Eva was already hit, but this card being at more than one means it's technically loopable to some degree, plus it makes it even easier to search Vanity's Ruler for the few decks that still do it. I have a feeling this is going to bite them in the ass. Then we get to Fire Formation Tenki. Extremely happy about this change, although I would have liked for them to at least put Fractal to 2 beforehand. But now that Tribri has basically been pushed to the wayside, there really isn't much of a reason to limit them at all anymore, though that might change when Scareclaw comes around. Next is Pot of Desires. I never really understood why this card was limited on the last list. It's not a bad card by any definition, it's essentially a free +1 for decks that don't care about the main, and I assume this was done to promote the sales of the Extrav reprints in the Unbanned structure deck, or Prosperity in general, or something. So I'm not really sure what I can say about this. Hooray if you play it? Next is Trickstar Light Stage. Trickstars on their own have been a massive frustration for me. I have never been a fan of facing them. But I can only assume this is to somehow help the deck out strategies for Mr. Rune when it drops, since both of them banish cards in large quantities, and I am seeing the two played together a lot online. And last is Wall of Revealing Light. This card was originally limited because of a nasty blowout combo that tandemed with Blasting the Ruins and Life Equalizer, but the entire deck had to be built around its use, kinda like Exodia. It's nowhere near as much of a threat as it used to be, but it is still an annoyance. And finally, 6 cards have been unbanned and put back to 3. First is Night Assailant. Now, as far as I'm aware, Night Assailant never received its OCG errata of not being able to target itself to return to the hand. And if that's the case, then this will enable some discard resource slips into TCG, which is the whole reason it was limited in the first place. But I'm going to hope that they're going to be reprinting it again soon with the errata to fix that problem. Next is Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. I don't think this is a good idea. There are plenty of decks that can turbo out high-level synchro plays, my Penguin deck being one of them. Heck, I know how to play it during my opponent's turn, so I don't expect this one to stay at 3 for very long. Then we have Salamangreat Mirage Stalio. Salamangreats really aren't doing much in the game right now, so I shouldn't be too surprised that this is happening at all. But man, this card made that deck annoying to face even at just 1. Good for them, but I'm not a huge fan. Next is A Hero Lives. Barring Malicious still being at 2, which is probably where it's going to be for a good while, I believe this means that heroes are officially at full power. Congratulations, hero players, it's been a long time coming. Use your new power wisely. But do us all a favor, please don't just land on DPE or Plasma. That is boring, that is annoying, and the deck deserves better. Then there's Salamangreat Circle. This one was to be expected. It was already bumped back to 2 before. This was the next step of progression. Long as Gazelle is still limited in some way, the deck won't be at full power. And finally is Scapegoat. Now that Link Era has had a chance to cool down for a while, Link spamming big boys isn't quite what it used to be. There are plenty of powerful Link monsters out there, of course, but having free access to our non-Link extra deck plays means we don't need to rely on them anymore. Also, I did face a token control deck on EDO Pro the other night, and it was kind of fun, so I'm all for it. And that is the entire ban list. Most of these changes were absolutely warranted and needed. Several cards that have been sealed away are back in the game, several cards that have been causing issues are gone, and the game feels a little more refreshed. This is the kind of ban list we have been needing for quite some time. And these changes means I can finally start updating my decks again. Fire King's got a slight buff from the Tenki change, Yata and Scapegoat means my spirits have more to work with, if nothing else. And Sharks, Beasts, Crawlers, and Zombies have new support coming soon, so I'm going to be updating all of those. Also, I ended up selling off my Phantom Knight Raid Raptor Raiders Dark deck, so I'm actually in the market for a new Dark deck. Possibly a Tyralimit Shadal mix to try and get back into my old fusion roots. And I was even looking at the new Ishizu deck to try, because I haven't touched a deck out deck since Bone Tower Turbo. So look forward to all of this potential content and possibly even more. I thank you guys for watching the ban list video. If you have any opinions on the hits, feel free to let me know. In the meantime, this has been Nanashi, signing out.